Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my world. This is Talk Leadership with Cedrick, and everybody needs a little TLC. And I am Cedric LaFleur, your host. I'm excited to be here with you again this evening. Talk Leadership with Cedric is where we focus on leadership and personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Our goal is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. Our guiding leadership principle is the law of buy in, which says people buy into the leader, then they buy into the vision. Mahatma Gandhi spent decades teaching others how to gain their freedom through peaceful efforts and nonviolence. And eventually, the people of India bought into his vision and were able to help him carry it out. See, the lesson here is people don't buy into what you do, they buy into why you do it. People will gravitate to the leader before the dream. The boss, Bruce Springsteen himself, said, a time comes when you have to stop being the man or stop waiting for the man or woman you want to become and start being the man or woman you want to be. Tonight, we have a dynamic leader with us who is walking into her purpose and being the woman that she wants to be. So I'm excited to introduce to you our guest for tonight. And our guest for tonight is Miss Ludith Gonzalez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Cedric.
So let me tell you a little bit about our leader. Ludith started her 17-year career as an educator in New York City with the New York City Board of Education, and then she moved to the great country of Texas, and she continues her journey. She continued her journey into higher education. She focused on thought leadership and guidance by fostering opportunities for learning and development for all students and for the community at large. Currently, she is in the petrochemical industry, where she has had an opportunity to establish and strengthen workforce development programs, contribute to the hiring process, the development process, the training process, and the retention of employees. Ludith holds a Master of Education in Bilingual Education and Counseling from Long Island University, Brooklyn campus, and a Bachelor of Science in Political Science from State University of New York at Albany. Now, tonight we're not going to talk about politics, but if we wanted to, she could dive into it deep for us, right? Um, so, welcome again to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Cedric. I'm really elated to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm excited to talk about, what we're going to talk about today, right? Leadership in general. So let's move forward. Let's continue to curve our paths, develop our paths, and let's see where we get to.
Yes, absolutely. So tell our audience a little bit about your journey to leadership. I read your bio, but our audience generally likes to hear directly from you. How did you get here, and how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. Thank you so much. So, a little bit about me. How did I get to where I am today? Well, I'm originally from New York. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I went to, elementary school, middle school, high school there, right? Went to college there. And even as I was growing up, I knew that being in a team and working with others is really was my passion, right? I really enjoy strategizing. I enjoy visualizing possibilities. I love working in teams and, kind of like building an agreement and while considering other people's needs, right? Keeping that balance and influencing and motivating people. And so I figured while I was in high school and I was really learning about what it is that I liked to do or what I was really good at, I became part of, I was an athlete, right? I became part of student clubs. And that's where I really started to kind of sense this passion around people. When I was younger, my mother was in the also worked for the New York City Board of Ed, and she was this like pioneer in bilingual education in New York City. And even as a young girl, I had the opportunity to really kind of get in front of audiences, right? And share my story with them and share the story of other children with them. And so I kind of, again, just learning about myself, and I said to myself, wow, I really enjoy being in front of people, and I really enjoy understanding and kind of meeting people where they are. So how can I use this strength and this passion to really kind of move forward in life, right? So i
Yeah.
i stretched myself, and I became part of athletic teams, and I played basketball and softball, and from there I kind of tried to balance it, right? I said, okay, well, I need the social component, like the social aspect of growth, right? But I
Right.
also wanted to kind of stretch myself and really understand, okay, if I need to learn about strategy, how can I do that? And so my school, the high school, had opportunity to join like the conflict resolution club, and I eventually became president of that. And so again, from there, just making my way through life, and finding every opportunity that I can kind of, you know, find a way into, so that I can continue to help people. I did that through college. I pledged in a Latino organization in college, and again, kind of, worked my way through the rankings and through the governance board as a secretary and a treasurer and president of the chapter. And so again, just really trying to learn about more about myself and learn more about other people, right? And what is it that people need in general? And so from there, I kind of, I guess, since my parents were educators, I kind of just, it led me into that path, and became an educator myself. And so having the opportunity to really become, uh, kind of immerse myself in 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 education also helped me grow. And so that's kind of how I got to the learning and development piece. I was able to really do K through 12, and when I moved to Texas, I really was able to kind of exercise that learning and development at a post secondary education, right, at a community college. And then from there, kind of leading into other paths, and really just using what I have been able to encounter and learn throughout my life to get to where I am today.
Wow, an awesome journey that you walked through. Having that social piece and social interaction helps that learning process, right? And helps continue to develop not only your academic self, but also your social self, right?
Absolutely.
So help us. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. So, why don't you tell us something that's fun or interesting, exciting about yourself?
Okay. Something that's fun and exciting. So, okay. When I was in college, I had this is so interesting. So when I was in college, I was walking through the campus, like the campus center one day, and I noticed this poster on the wall, and it said, like it said, study abroad, right? And I'm like, study abroad, and I'm like, what is that? Like, what do you mean, like, study abroad, right? Does that really mean that you get to go study somewhere else, And is that part of like school? Long story short, it had an office number. And so I was like, well, I'm in between classes and I have some time. I think I'm going to walk into the office. So I walk into the office, and I mean, eyes wide open, ears wide open. I'm just ready to kind of absorb it all, right? And I walk in, and I say good afternoon, and I kind of share with them. I said, "Hey, I noticed this poster on the wall. Can you please help me learn a little bit more about what does this really entail?" And so I learned very quickly. And I called my mom, and I said, "Mom, at school, they are offering this opportunity where I get to study political science in a different country. I get to do the classes from the institution that I'm currently at, and I actually get to learn, but I get to do them at an institution in another country." And
Mm,
so, and she was like, "But what do you mean? How where are you gonna go?" And so all these questions that a natural mom would ask, right? And I'm like, "Ma, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but we're gonna do this," you know? And so she's like, "Okay, well, we'll figure it out. So long story short, I got to go study abroad, and I lived in Madrid, Spain.
Yeah.
I earned, I earned all A's, and I got to visit Spain and France and Italy and Belgium and the Netherlands, and I got to go to Africa. And you want to talk about people experience and learning experience? It is an experience that I will take with me for as long as I live and my mind is sound, because
Wow.
it not only taught me about myself, but it taught me so much about different cultures and different people, and why it's so important for us to remember that we're all human, right? And
Right.
that we have this connection.
Right.
And yeah, and so I was able to learn about it, and I followed through, and I came back, and I keep it in my heart and my mind till today.
Wow. Well, that is fun, interesting, exciting, and it's amazing that you opened yourself up to that, and now you have all of these experiences that you can teach other people about, your kids about, and all of that type of stuff, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
wow. Awesome. Now, Ludith, um, you've had a career in education,
Mhm.
right? And now you're in the petrochemical area. That's a big difference in those two, right? So
Yes.
help us understand how flexible you had to be to move from that education base over to
Yeah.
petrochemical.
Yeah, let's that's a great question. Let's talk about that, because I actually couldn't believe that it happened, right? It's when things are kind of for you, they just are, right? So if there's somebody out there that is in the middle of just really trying to understand that this transition in life, and you're really just trying to understand, how am I going to do that, and why am I going to do that, and I don't have what it takes, please just take a second and believe in yourself and give yourself the credit that you deserve. So let
Mhm.
me answer this question for you, Cedric, because um, a part of the educate, when I was in education, right, a lot of my it was workforce development, and so there I was really working a lot with the student body, and trying to really prepare them for what it took to get to the next level, right? So it wasn't enough for us as an institution that the student earned all of their credits, right? That they earned their credits and that they passed their classes and they did well. For us, it was also important that once they finished, we knew that we were setting them up for success in the professional world, right? And so one of my main roles and responsibilities there was really to kind of understand where industry was, what it is that they needed, and how to bridge that gap between education and industry for the student. Okay. In that process, I got to meet a ton of people, and I got to learn so much about all of these organizations and these companies that really work hand in hand to create this pipeline, right? You have your student, they graduate, they become an employee, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's the plan. That's what essentially what we're working for, right? And
Right.
so throughout that process, I worked with these organizations, these companies for about a year and a half, 2 years. And one day, I'm so I'm so grateful. One day, this this individual, this company was like, "Hey, we've been watching you
Mhm.
and listening to you and working with you for the last year and a half, 2 years, and you are exactly what we need."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Well, but what do you mean?" Right? I'm like, I'm here, like, what else, how can I help you, right? Because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, did I miss something, did I drop the, like, did I drop the ball? I'm like, what's going on? And so they said, no, and I asked them, I said, can you just please help me understand what you mean? And they're like, we're really we need help, and we think you're the person that can help us. And
Wow.
so I was like, yeah. And so I'm like, but aren't I? aren't I helping you right now? Right? And I'm like, I'm not an engineer and I'm not, I'm not an operator. I am not, I was like, I'm not sure that I can help you and your organization, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just an educator. I'm not going to be able to help you run like the company or, and they said, no, we don't need that. What we need are the skills that you have, right? Your connection to education, your passion for people, the ability for you to bridge the gap between industry and education for us. You help us complete this pipeline, right? So I sat like on advisory boards for modifying curriculum. And I mean, and I just couldn't believe that they were like, no, everything that you do is exactly what we need. And that's how I was able to really transfer these skills that I currently have from education into industry.
Wow. Well,
Mhm.
so that's always good when you're delivering value to someone, to an organization in this case, and they see the value, they appreciate the value, and they can then see how the value that you bring can relate to their business, even if they're totally different.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they're day and night, right? They're day
Yeah,
and night.
right.
And but I tell you, it's that's why I kind of started the, answering the question how I did, right? Because if there is somebody out there where you're just kind of in this, you're struggling, right? Just
Hmm.
understand that you have transferable skills, right?
Right.
Don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
We have what it takes. And so
Yes.
yeah, so it just took for somebody else on the other side, right, of the street per se,
Yes.
right, of the
Yeah.
street,
Hmm.
to just kind of look in and realize it, and say, hey, I think we have something here,
Hmm.
and I wasn't looking for it. On the contrary, I mean, I loved where I was, and I mean, and the people are great, and really it was all about the student. But the fact that I got to work with the institution and the student body that I was currently working with, even though I transferred into the industry, that is what really like closed the deal for me, because I didn't have to let my people go, right?
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
And I
That
got to
is
build on new people.
that's awesome. That's all the stars align. That's great. So you talk about skills, right? Leaders come in different packages with
Oh
different
yeah.
strengths. What are some of the strengths that you feel are important for successful leaders to have?
So what are some of the strengths that I feel are important for a successful leader to have? Okay. Yeah, so leaders are different. I mean, we're human, right? We're all different. And so some of the strengths that I feel are important um to have in order to, kind of be a successful leader include definitely a good attitude, right? Employees appreciate a personal connection. People in general really respond much better to someone who empowers them, right? Leadership has nothing to do with title or position. So I think one, having a good attitude is important. Two, building relationships, right? So if you can build relationships with others, I think that's also critical. Being self aware and able to provide constructive and effective feedback, having strong interpersonal skills, and being inclusive, I think is also critical. The third thing I'd say is humility, right? I mean,
Yeah.
being humble is also important. One who can motivate others, encourage innovation, teach and forgive, right? Because again, we're not perfect; we're all human. One that could admit mistakes to their team, uh, leads to serve and invites trust, right? I think for me, trust is the foundation of everything for me, at least, right? So it's important to remember, as responsibility increases, the humility level should double, if that makes sense. And the last thing that I'd say is probably being a role model, right? Like role modeling effort. And what do I mean by that? I mean that, being able to, exceptional leadership really inspires the best effort in others. Okay. So when we can role model effort, I think effort is all about the actions, and those actions really create an action plan that can become achieved results, right? So I'd say those, at least for me, those are probably the four things: having a good attitude, being able to build relationships with others, being humble, and role modeling effort.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I
Oh,
love it. I even snuck in a few of those from there. You said self-aware, being able to
mm.
provide that constructive feedback that's needed, admit mistakes, and give others a little bit of grace. Um, yes, I like that. So leaders, you need to remember that. Now, guess what, leaders? If you um, are looking for ways to help you in this area, there's a book that's called The Blueprint for Manager Success. And guess
Hmm.
what? You get some tips in that book around what Ludith is talking about. So I'll just throw that out there for you. So what would you say is the most desirable trait that a leader can possess? Like they can have all these skills, but what's the most
Yeah.
desirable one?
Yeah, so let's talk about traits. So some of the most desirable traits, right? And or things that a leader could possess
Mhm.
or do are, one, I think, helping those around them to grow personally and professionally. It can't always be about ourselves, right? I mean, if we're leaders, it's because we are responsible for a group of individuals, whether those individuals are immediate family members, right? Whether those
Mhm.
individuals are our friends or colleagues, whether those individuals are our co-workers, but definitely helping those around them to grow personally and professionally. I think having the courage to challenge those around them, creating this atmosphere where it's okay to push back because we're in a safe environment, right? That psychological safety. I think it's
Right,
important to be able to uh, personally and professionally connect with other people, right? It's not only about helping them grow. I mean, how can we help them grow if we can't connect with them?
right.
Also, holding ourselves to moral authority. I think role modeling transformational leadership is also something else that we should, be able to possess or have. And then, I kind of, when I think of that, I kind of sum it up with the know the way, go the way, and show the way, right?
Mm,
A, a lot of people, a, a, a lot of people get to the point where they're like, you know, I can help you, right? I can show you, but I'm not here to hold your hand. And at times, I truly wonder if that is the best way or not, right? I think when we think of our family, someone we love and we cherish and we care about, would we let them walk in the dark alone? Or
mm.
if we're together, would we hold their hand, right? I think
Wow.
it's okay to hold each other's hands.
Yes, I agree with you. It's definitely okay to hold someone's hand. Know the way, go the way, and show the way. Right. That is that's awesome. I really do like that. Um, and you know, the traits that you talk about, right? These are things that help employees become long-term employees, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you can recruit someone, you can hire them, but really your leadership is shown in how long they stay. Because we know that
Retention. Yeah.
yeah, we know that people don't leave companies, they leave their leader,
People.
right?
People leave people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um as we think about that and thinking through that, how do we help employees feel valued, if you will, right? In their job. And when I say feel valued, I mean, we want everybody to love their job, but maybe people may not all love their job, and that's okay. But they
Right.
like it enough that they're committed. They're bought into it, right? So
Sure.
how do we help people in that area?
Yeah, when I think of bringing value to employees, I kind of think it makes me think of one word, right? And that's to me that word kind of sums it up, is inclusivity, right?
Mm,
If we can value what others have to bring and share, and their diversity, of thought and ideas, and again create that psychologically safe space for them to be able to um, convey and articulate and bring to the table what they're thinking, right, or how they're feeling. Because one of the things that we have to understand is when we're really talking about people is that it's not only about the the expectations or the strategy, right? I mean, with humans come emotion, and so a lot of people like to say, oh, I don't get enough, I don't get paid enough for that piece, right?
yeah,
Well, that's probably the piece that is priceless, if I had to put a value on it, right?
yeah,
For me, it's important to help people feel safe and understand that they can bring to the table what they want to share. As we have ground rules, right?
right,
I mean, as long as we don't disrespect each other, we stay ethical. I mean, as long as those things are kind of taken care of and they're a given, I mean, it's open. So if we can set up this idea around inclusive leadership, right? Then that is how we bring value to individuals.
yeah. I really like that. That's why I put that up on the screen so people can see what you said there. Inclusivity helps people feel valued, right? And if we take that a little bit farther, this is gets back to the initial thing I said. Well, you retain them for a long time when they feel valued,
Absolutely.
right? So then they're going
Yes.
to give more to the organization.
Yes, Cedric, absolutely. When we think, okay, you're right, right? So what is the first thing? We recruit, right? Well, we recruit, then we interview, we hire, right? We develop, right? We can't just hire and expect them to stay.
Right,
We hire, we provide development opportunities for them, whether it's personal or professional. We provide those opportunities for them. And then hopefully, right, that retention piece, it kind of plays itself out, right? But
right,
when we allow individuals to grow and to share and be able to feel comfortable pushing back, because I mean, that ultimately we hired them because we saw a quality in them, right? Something that they could add to the organization that can create innovation, create possibility, right? Kind of it's really all about understanding, hey, this is the need. If this individual had it when we hired them, they're definitely going to have it when they're with us. And how
yeah,
do we invest in them, right? And so
yeah,
we also have to understand what is it that they want to learn and where is it that they want to grow, right? So that then we can create that path. Because sometimes there are individuals who say, hey, you know what? I was hired for this position and I want to be in this position forever. And that's okay, right? Because if that's their passion and that's where they want to be, then that's where we want them,
right,
right? but
yes,
but if we found value enough in them when we hired them to be a part of the organization, because as an organization, the most important decision that you will ever make is who you hire for an
yeah,
organization, right? Who we
right,
hire will be the most important decision we ever make. So if that individual comes in and they they do well, or they excel, and now they kind of want to continue to grow, then it's our responsibility to identify, okay, hey, where is it that you're looking, right? What is it that interests you? Do we have that available within the organization? How do we make that happen? If we don't, do we need to look externally, right? And so again, that is all part of that recruitment, the interviewing, the hiring, that development piece. The development piece is really the piece that connects it from hiring to retention.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. So we need to get you in every organization. Oh, I absolutely love it. Um, so, Ludith, we have a segment on the show that we call Would You Rather?
Oh,
Okay. That's
okay.
all. I never tell the guests about this segment. I just always like
Oh
to throw it
gosh.
on them, right? Because I don't want you to get prepared for it. I just want you to in the
Okay.
moment, right? So, would you rather? All right. So, it's very easy. It's very simple, right? And
Mhm.
audience, you can participate, right? You just put your response to the would you rather in the comments, and I'll pop them up on the screen. So, Luda, let's get at it. Would you rather? Um, be best friends forever with your favorite celebrity or date your celebrity crush for only 2 years?
Oh goodness. Be best friends or
Mhm.
date them. So for me, the relationship is more important. So I'd probably rather be best friends.
Best friends with them forever.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. 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 So would you rather? Okay. And Crystal says she rather the best friends part as well.
Yay, Crystal. We're on the same page.
So now that you have a best friend, would you rather own a private island or own a
Mhm.
private jet?
Private island or private jet? You know, oh, this is difficult because I am a beach person.
Oh, I thought you was going to
But
say I
you
already
didn't.
have a jet.
Oh, negative. Negative. No, not yet. This is not yet, right? Um, this is interesting because, but you didn't tell me where the island was. So I don't know if the
Right.
island is in the Caribbean. I don't know if the island is, in the Arctic somewhere, right? But I do love to travel. So I'm gonna have to go with the jet.
Okay, all right. So Crystal is aligned. She says she's going with the jet
All
too.
right, Crystal. Crystal, we're gonna be best friends and we're flying the world together.
So, would you rather be able to read minds or be able to travel at light speed?
Oh, we have those are good questions. Okay, so we've actually had this one at dinner. Okay, so I rather have read minds or travel at the speed of light. I have a lot of responsibilities in my life. I probably rather travel at the speed of light.
Okay, all right,
Hmm.
all right. Now, would you rather have free Apple products forever or have free Wi-Fi wherever you go?
Um, Probably the Wi-Fi. Probably the Wi-Fi, because with Apple, I got to buy cellular data, and I'm good. I'll take the Wi-Fi.
So, Crystal says she hoped that you guys, when you have that jet, you could afford the diesel fuel. She says.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll make sure we could afford the diesel fuel.
So, would you rather have a sports stadium named after you or have a university named after you?
Oh, um, this is hard. I'm gonna have to go with. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with the university.
Okay, you and Crystal are aligned again. Okay,
Okay.
all right, two more.
Okay.
So, would you rather be a pirate or a ninja?
I'm gonna say ninja. I'd rather be a ninja.
A ninja. All right, you want to be able to throw that star at people. I know.
My nunchucks.
Okay, all right. All right, last one. All right.
Okay.
Would you rather, this is a tough one. Would you rather have $1 million in Amazon gift cards or $100,000 in real money?
$1 million in Amazon gift card. Oh my goodness, or $100,000. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the $100,000. I have a lot of I have to pay college tuitions. Yeah, yeah, I gotta think forward.
That
Amazon
million
already
dollars
gets
in
enough from me.
with that Amazon, with those Amazon gift cards, you by the time your kids get to college, you may be able to use some gift cards.
Man, listen, Amazon gets enough from me already. I'll take the cash. I need to pay college tuitions. We're good.
All right. Crystal said she's gonna take the $1 million in Amazon gift cards.
Okay, okay. Oh, I love
Awesome.
it.
Awesome.
Oh,
Well,
Crystal's
thank
a
you for
great
playing.
sport. Thank you for, yeah,
She
no, and
is.
Crystal too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, this is Talk Leadership with Cedric, where everybody needs a little TLC, and I'm Cedric LaFleur, your host, and we are talking to Miss Ludith Gonzalez, and we're gonna get back to the conversation now here, so you can hear more of the wisdom from Ludith. So, um, how can a leader build an ideal environment for their team?
How can a leader build an ideal environment for this? Yeah. So we started talking about it a little earlier, right? I think inclusive leadership. For me, inclusive leadership is really at the core of building teams. The emotional and cultural intelligence really plays a critical role in building, high performing and ideal, creating these ideal environments for teams, having the ability to promote again that psychological safe space, right? Being humble, fair, respectful, grace, giving grace, right?
Please.
And being grateful, um, collaborative. One person can't see the whole picture, right?
Right.
Um, and I think a critical piece here too is being aware of um, of our personal biases, right?
Mm,
How can we create this ideal team if we really don't understand, who it is that, where our areas of improvement or opportunities are, right, when it comes to creating this collaborative team environment.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Agree with that. So what would you say has been the best career decision that you've ever made?
Oh, the best career. Well, I would honestly, I would not be where I am today if I didn't decide that day in New York that I was going to get up and go. And so I know that that's a little, personal piece,
Mhm.
but that really was a making or breaking point, I think, for me in my life. And I really wound up coming to Texas because of the career opportunity. And so, so I'd say that probably was the most impactful, most important, and critical move that I made. I mean, I went from working at the time, I was in education. I was in the classroom. I was working for a publishing company as well. And so a lot of things had happened with the organization. They got sold, and, those kind of those business things,
Mhm.
right, that
Yeah.
happen. And I kind of was left with nothing. I was left with no job, or no career. And so I was like, okay, well, I can I can just kind of crawl up in a hole and, just cry, right? Or I can do something about it. And
Right.
and I decided that, I really was going to do something about it. And that's when I started to apply for jobs all over the country. I never thought I would leave New York, right?
Yeah.
And so I got called for interviews, and I did, and Texas is where I wound up. So I'm really here because of the decision that I made, based on where I was going to go next in my career.
Wow. Well, let me let you in on a little secret that
Okay.
maybe people didn't tell you before you got to Texas. Once you come to the country of Texas, you never
Uh-huh.
want to leave.
Aw. That's awesome.
Uh,
Oh, thank
um,
you.
yeah, you might be calling New York and say, "Hey, it's good, but I don't have to shovel snow." And
For sure. And they've had quite a lot of it this year. So,
yes, now the summers may get you a little bit. You may, you know, I don't have a problem with my hair messing up during the summer, but um, so
being, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 you go ahead.
Thank you. No, I was just gonna say, I'm Puerto Rican, and so it gets hot. It gets hot in Puerto Rico, right? It gets
Right.
hot, but at least we're kind of surrounded by the ocean, and so it isn't as humid as it is here, and so I have experienced Texas summer, and you're not playing. It is hot. And so what I try to help people, and it's funny. So what I try to help family members or friends understand, right, is that at home, or in New York, we really don't have AC, right? You don't have air conditioning per se, but
Mhm.
here in Texas, it is absolutely, it's almost mandatory, right?
Yeah.
So the good thing about it is that the only time you don't have air is from door to door.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally door to door, whether you're in
Right.
your car, you're going into the house, or you're in the store and you're going to the restaurant, or you're parking you're parking your vehicle and you're going into, wherever, the supermarket, right? But you're right. It is a big difference. And you know what? It's been good to me. So I can't complain. Texas has been great.
Well, that is awesome, and everybody knows I don't take complaints on Monday, so that is good.
Love it.
So, hey, tell us what makes you smile when you get up in the morning. You have a big radiant smile. So, what makes you smile when you get up in the morning?
Oh man. Just what makes me smile. So my family, right? God is good, and I'm so grateful for God and just another day, and the fact that we have the opportunity to get up there with so many people that have lost so much in the last 2 years, and especially in the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah,
Um, there's no reason not to smile.
yeah,
We have to smile for those who can't smile, right?
yes,
We are their hope.
yes.
So I smile for everyone and everything.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. I
Oh,
love it. So,
mm,
you know, when we think about things that we can do in our business, we think about
mm.
things that we can do in our careers. Why is it important for people to always continue to be growing?
Ooh. I mean, growth is talking about mandatory. I mean, growth is critical. If we don't grow, whether it's, you know, mentally or emotionally or academically or um, spiritually, or because there's so many types of growth, right?
Right.
um, it, Personal growth and development are opportunities for continuous learning and
Yeah.
transformation, really, right?
Yeah.
So continuous learn when I think of continuous learning, it's really self-motivated,
Hmm.
but it allows for one to stay relevant, so that we can function, effectively in today's world. Being that, I mean, today's world is ever changing. And so it really helps change perspective. Being able to see more than one side of the story builds on understanding. It also provides, opportunity for one to pay it forward. As we learn and as we grow as leaders, we can transfer the knowledge and the skill set that we've been able to acquire to others.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, continuous growth is definitely something that is important in every area of your life, whether it's your personal life, social life, your career, or if you're an entrepreneur, right? You
Yes.
don't, especially if you're an employee, you don't want to hire someone in 1990 and now you get 2022 and they still think the same way they thought in 1990.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely not. Like I said, that growth opportunity really it helps us stay relevant. Like I mentioned earlier, and we can run, more effectively and really just and not only in terms of business per se, but in terms of relationships as well, right? I mean, as we grow and we get older, we encounter different types of people and different things in our lives happen and that's also, growth opportunity, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes you outgrow people. Right?
Correct.
And
Very true.
if
Very
you're if
true.
you're not growing, people are gonna outgrow you. So you're gonna be the one left.
That's right. That is a great point. I love it, Cedric. You're right. That's right.
So, Ludith, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
My younger self. Um, it probably still applies to today. Um, but you know, I tell myself, don't be afraid to ask for more help, right? And advice.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily compromise your fierce independence, right?
Right.
I tell myself, help myself, help yourself, elevate yourself, spend as much time on your strategic relationships than you do on your personal ones. That's probably what I tell myself.
Okay. Spend as much time on your strategic relationships as you do on your personal ones or
Personal one.
tactical ones. Okay.
Hmm.
I like that. Okay. Let me. I got to write that down. I really do like that. I have to remember that. That is awesome. So, excuse me. As we think about um, leaders and I think
Hmm.
about people, and it doesn't matter what the industry is, right?
Yeah,
If you were advising a young person
sure.
um, in their career, okay, what would be one or two pieces of advice, or if it's more pieces of advice you would give them, and in one, let's say they landed the job that they wanted,
Hmm.
okay, like you said, your employer told you you are the person for us. You're going to provide us for these things. Now, so you've landed that job. What are
Sure.
two or one or two pieces of advice you would give them on keeping that job now?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing I'd probably say is, you know, so I'm relationships for me are very important. And so really learning and understand, and I don't mean, only personal relationships, right? Although it really does make the job more fun and it makes the job more when I think of personal relationships at work, it's kind of it just makes work fun, right? When you
Right.
really can you have this sense of trust with someone and you're not afraid to ask a silly question, right? In
Right,
quotations, or
right.
you're not, you're just it kind of makes it comfortable. So I'd tell them, spend time really understanding what the role and the responsibility of the job entails, right? Identify the individuals, those subject matter experts in those areas of the job where you can learn from them, because now we're expediting the learning process, right? We are really capturing that tribal knowledge, right?
Mhm.
Because as you mentioned, there's somebody that just kind of came into the organization, and there's probably people there who have been there for a very long time, right? So let's spend time learning about those best practices, learning from mistakes of, other mistakes that others have made. And then identifying, okay, this is what I bring to the table. What is missing from the table, and how can I identify that so that I can kind of help complete the picture?
Mhm.
Um, So I tell them that's probably one thing. And then the other thing is really, just take time to understand and learn about yourself.
Mm,
Um, I think that that's something, throughout the last couple of years that I really have invested a lot of time in. That going back to that piece of advice that I would tell my younger self, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, is probably what I would do is really just encourage, hey, take some time to learn about, your strengths. Take the time to learn about opportunities for improvement. What is it that you really like? How do you how how do you handle conflict? When it comes to time management, how do you do it, where how do you function, right? Do you structure your projects? Are you okay with, do you have to organize your tasks? What's your usual behavior like? Are you somebody who's very methodical and low key, or are you somebody who needs time so that you can reflect on a decision, right? Or on a conversation? How do you make difficult decisions? And so, because I think when we understand who we are and how we function, and we understand what our role and what our responsibility is at work, and we
Mm,
can bring those two worlds together, we are
mm,
an invaluable asset to whatever organization we are a part of. Our
yes.
home organization, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
just the house and your family, or it's your friends and your colleagues, or it's work.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I really do agree with that. Hey, so tell us, because like I said, you've went on a new path and a new career, and went away from the family business of education.
Yeah.
So, what do you say is next for you in your life or in your career?
Yeah, so I next for me right now is really kind of just honing in um on growing. I'm in a, this learning and development world, right? This It's interesting because COVID really changed everybody's life, right? And not only personally, but also professionally. And
Right,
so the learning and development piece, not only it was very traditional. It was face-to-face learning. And so we went into a classroom, and we kind of had this objective, and we had these concepts, and we had this um group work, right? And then we had this opportunity to evaluate and assess, okay, did we learn, did we not, how did it happen? And so um I've really had to transition into, okay, well, this whole virtual learning platform idea, right? That's been a huge growth opportunity for me. And so transitioning the skills and just, you know, look, I come from the generation where, yes, did I have a computer at home? No, I had a typewriter, right? But it was the very beginning of kind of where we are today. And
right.
at every step, we had to transition. And so right now, my next steps really are just continuing to learn more about myself and how I function and how I can contribute uh, better to the organization. Where is it that we have gaps, and where is it that I can bring my skill set and transfer those skills to, whichever group it is, right? Um,
Right.
but really, I'm just focusing on learning more about me and focusing on, okay, where and how can I bring can I help bring the organization to the next level?
I love that you're just focusing on being the best version of yourself is what I hear
That's
from
it.
this,
That's it.
which is awesome. So one, do you have a mentor? If you do, what have you learned from your mentor in the last 6 months that would help our audience?
Yes, yes. I have had I'm so grateful. That's that saying, people kind of come for a reason and a season, right? And so I'm a naturally a people person, and I've been incredibly blessed, really, with having great people around me. And so, one of the biggest things, I've had a ton of mentors and, personal mentors, professional mentors. One of the biggest things that I've learned recently from my mentor is really around um, paying it forward,
Mm,
and I'm truly grateful. Like I said, I truly am grateful for the mentors that I've had personally and professionally. Mentorship is a wonderful way to grow, learn, and push yourself in a safe space, if that makes sense.
sure. Yeah.
Um, you know, the incredible thing about mentors is that, they have had a few themselves, right? And
Right.
that and this is where that tribal knowledge, almost like what I was talking about before, that tribal knowledge kind of trickles down. And so
Right.
we may be receiving advice and guidance from someone who may have already been there, done that, right? And
Right.
so I'm continuously reminded that it will be our turn to someday.
Yes.
It'll be my turn to be a mentor, and
Yes.
and so if the day isn't here already, I've it's funny because I've about 2 weeks ago I received just a quick text message, and it said, "Hey Ludith, I'm going in for a job interview, and I just want to tell you that I'm so thankful for you throughout the last couple of years, the time that you have spent listening." And hearing and sharing thoughts and advice and ideas with me. I just want you to know that I haven't taken it for granted, right? And so it's crazy because sometimes we don't even mentorship isn't always about that direct relationship, right?
Sure.
Mentorship can also be indirect. And
Absolutely.
so, being a mentor is a huge responsibility. And yes, the mentee has a role, but the role of the mentor is just as important, if not more so. So I'd say paying it forward is probably what has been in my head lately about in regards to the conversations that I've had with my mentor recently.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I like that. And my final question for you, Ludith, is
Yeah.
if there was a book that was written about you,
Oh,
what would the title be? And what would the summary in the back of the book say about you?
okay. So the title, the summary of the book, oh goodness. The summary of the book would probably be something around, you know, um, it probably will be more questions. So something along the lines of, how did she get here? Why did she get there? How did, uh, who helped her get there? Um, why is she there? And the title of the book would probably be Pushing Forward.
Pushing forward. I like that. So my question then is, when is that book coming out?
Oh man, I'll let you know.
Okay, all right. I like that. So we have been having a delightful conversation with Miss Ludith Gonzalez. And Ludith is currently in the petrochemical industry. She's a former educator. And I would say that she's a lifelong educator because she's still educating people. She gave you a
Yes.
lot of nuggets tonight, and hopefully you take some of those nuggets and you can use them, apply them in your life, in your business, and in whatever you're doing. I've enjoyed the conversation with Ludus. If you have, just put in the comments yes. Just type in yes if you've enjoyed the
Mhm.
conversation that you've had, that you've listened to from Ludus. You know, I wrote the book, The Blueprint for Manager Success, and
Mm.
you can pre-order that book. You can just click on the link in the comments. You see, I have it up on the screen. The Blueprint for Manager Success: the 10 keys to getting things done. We're in pre-order. We're going to be launching that book next month. It'll ship out to you. But the link is um, in the comments. So all you have to do is click on the link to pre-order the book. We definitely appreciate that. And I'm just going to tell you guys, we have a goal of writing 3 books in 2022, 10 books over the next 3 years we're going to write. So I'm looking forward to bringing more books to you from LaFleur Leadership Institute. But right now, you can order that book. Just click on the link in the comments if you want that. Now, folks, I always tell you that the only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is extra. The only difference between winning and losing is belief. The only difference between hot water and boiling water is 1 degree. You see, at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. With boiling water comes steam. With steam, you can power a train. The only difference between a person reaching their full potential and not reaching their full potential is desire. And as long as you have the desire to be great, to be different, to do things that most people can't do, all you have to do is have the desire for it. Now, remember, as I always tell you, and I'll see you again next next Monday night at 6:30 Central Time. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and don't be on the menu. Thank you guys, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.